Hello everyone, my name is Rochelle Innocent and I'm the founder and CEO of Project Purpose. Welcome to our channel. Our community is focused on fostering the intellectual and character development in children. We do this through our parent-child workshops that are focused on 4 themes: autonomy, self-efficacy, compassion, and self-concept, in order to cultivate great perseverance and resilience in each child. At Project Purpose, our overarching mandate is to renew and rebuild family, community, and relationships. Our different social media platforms provide us with an opportunity to have discussions on all topics that relate to family, community, and relationships with ourselves as well as with others, with a primary focus on mental health and education. More precisely, the ways that the institutions of mental health and education play a role and have played a role in our societies at large. These discussions and debates provide us with an opportunity to think critically about what needs to change within these structures in order for us to live up to our bold slogan: support, protect, and empower each child through youth-focused development, better known as leadership in juvenescence. We recognize that in valuing our children's leadership potential, this also translates as recreating and co-creating environments both socially and politically that will enable our children to thrive. For those of you who are particularly keen on the topic, we do write thought pieces every other Sunday, and we have one scheduled to drop this upcoming Sunday, so definitely be sure to check that out. Also, we're available now on 10 different podcast platforms. It was initially 9, but we're now available on Facebook Podcasts. So definitely be sure to take us along with you as you go out and about and run your errands. Now, as is the convention, definitely be sure to subscribe. Hit that post notification bell so that you are aware of every time we post. And of course, if you like these discussions and you want to keep them going, like, comment, and share this segment. Let's get into it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another segment here on Project Purpose. For those of you who are new, we cover topics that relate to mental health, mental wellness, and education on a week-by-week basis, and this week our topic of discussion is going to be mental wellness. Now, before jumping into today's topic, let's cover some housekeeping items. First and foremost, we have launched as of September our live events, and now the plan is that we're going to go live at minimum twice every single month, and these are paid live events. So if it is the case that you're interested in joining us long-term and having thoughtful discussions with us long-term on different themes and subjects that speak to fulfillment and provide us with the tools and the skills that we need in order to live our best lives, then definitely be sure to join in. We do have membership plans available. You can either purchase a one-time ticket, or if it is the case that you feel that this is a community you want to invest in and you want to participate in our live events on an ongoing basis, definitely take a look at our membership package plans. We have them available here on the screen and also via our website if you want to take a closer look at what each plan entails. And we're going to be covering different themes, different topics each month. So earlier this month we had our first live event. Our upcoming live event is going to be taking place September 29th on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're going to be talking about creating and maintaining joy. So how does one create and maintain joy within their lives? It'll be a fun, light topic. It might end up being a debate, who knows? The objective is to have thought-provoking conversations, to think about different perspectives and different angles as it relates to joy and the ways that we can manifest, create, and maintain joy within our own lives. So definitely be sure to check out the website if you want to take a look at our package plans. I think it's a worthwhile investment and definitely be part of our ongoing community. So all of that to say, let's get into today's topic. So today I wanted to talk about laughter. And I think laughter is one of those underrated, undervalued abilities that we have. And it is a tool that we can leverage to get through some of the difficult periods in life. And laughter is something that I feel is one of my secret weapons. One of the things that I value first and foremost in any relationship, including the one that I have with myself, is a sense of humor. And I am someone who typically can take life very seriously, and I learned the best way to counteract that and to kind of counterbalance how seriously I can take life at times is to always make a point to laugh, always to create space for laughter. And this is to do with any part of life. And I want to give you just 3 perspectives as to why laughter is super important and integral to our sense of mental well-being, and why it's important to just take a pause and laugh. And I also want to talk about what laughter isn't. And laughter isn't trivializing or minimizing some of the the really dark and intense areas in our life. Instead, what it does is it reconnects us to our light. And for me, I am someone who can laugh at one of the most uncharacteristic moments because it releases tension. It gives me an opportunity to breathe. And it also gives me an opportunity to reconnect with myself. Like when I feel like I'm in over my head and I feel overwhelmed, after I cry and deal with like the emotions of feeling overwhelmed, I make a point to laugh about it. And I think laughing is a great starting point because it's a level set. Like if I'm laughing, know that I'm ready to throw down. Like if I'm like, okay, if I reach a point where, hey, I'm in over my head, I am largely outside of my comfort zone. I don't know if I have the skills to deal with this. I'll give a chuckle and I'm gonna go throw down. And laughter is a way of just kind of letting things roll off your back. Again, knowing that I'm still gonna have to deal with it. I'm gonna figure out a way to develop the skills to deal with it, but with the right mindset. And I find sometimes like if we approach life feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we don't have the tools, but then feeling like, you know, this dark cloud over our heads, like if we don't take a moment to shed some of the darkness that comes with some of these realizations, then we're not really setting ourselves up for success. And I find that when I laugh before I kind of tackle a task or something that I feel out of my element to deal with, I'm giving myself a break. I'm releasing the tension. I'm breaking the ice, so to speak. I'm giving myself the go ahead to hit the ground running. While laughter is a really great way to build community and to strengthen relationships and to build rapport, it's so important to laugh privately, to laugh on your own. And in fact, I'm someone who likes to think that I'm funny. Most people who know me laugh at me and not with me. Like when I actually make a point to try to be funny, it never really hits the mark with others. But that's okay because I'm my number one fan. I think I'm hilarious. And that's because I spend a lot of time kind of laughing at or with myself private, like at my private thoughts, or I laugh to myself all the time. And I think that it's one of the best ways to deal with like when life feels like it's too much. And for me, like I will cry when life feels like it's too much, but I will also laugh when life feels like it's too much. And when you're someone who has a growth mindset, like when you recognize that even if the thing in front of you is something that feels like you don't have the skills or the tools to deal with now, if you have a growth mindset, it's like, okay, well, I'll figure this out. And the best way to kind of approach figuring something out, recognizing you don't necessarily have the tools or the skill set to navigate accordingly, is to start with a laugh. Because like, yeah, I'm gonna fumble, I'm gonna look funny, I'm gonna look awkward. I might as well get that out of the way, laugh it a little bit now, laugh all throughout, and just, you know, learn that it's about perspective. To get through the highs and lows in life, sometimes the best medicine is to just not take yourself too seriously. Like you're going to get through it, even if you have no idea how you're gonna get through it. If you've committed to yourself that you're not going to quit, you're not gonna, you know, throw in the towel, then you better just laugh at yourself because it's gonna look funny the first few steps. You're not going to be all that suave in the way that you navigate in like challenges that seem like they're a lot to handle. But I think having sort of this light spiritedness about it, like approaching it with a chuckle, is a much better way of setting the tone for that experience than approaching it with dread. So that's my first perspective on incorporating laughter and just also benefiting from the power of laughter, from breaking the ice and from kind of releasing the tension that can build when you're facing something that feels a little bit insurmountable. And again, laughing is not trivializing the situation, it's not making light of the situation. A lot of us are going through really serious, very dark situations, but it's giving us an opportunity to reconnect with our light, to reconnect with who we are at our core, to recenter ourselves, to release some of that tension before we move forward. Now, the second point that I'd like to make as it relates to laughter and the power that laughter in and of itself entails is it gives perspective. For me, personally, holding on to my laughter, holding on to my sense of humor is akin to holding on to my strength. If I can hold on to my sense of humor in the worst of situations, then I know I'm going to push through it. It's like almost like a self-check, like, okay, like can I find a little bit like something in this situation that I can chuckle at, even if it's my reaction, even if it's, you know, the way that I spiraled 5 minutes ago. Like if there's something that I can kind of crack a smile about or have a sense of humor about, generally after that period of laughter, I can put things into perspective. Things don't feel so dire. Things don't feel so like, you know, like how am I supposed to deal with this? Like if I say that to myself crying, like how am I supposed to deal with this? It's a very different tone than if I'm saying that laughing, like, oh, how am I supposed to deal with this, you know? And I find that when I can look at something through a lens where I'm kind of laughing at it, whether I'm laughing at the situation, I'm laughing at the personalities, or I'm laughing at myself, it's just a very different perspective than looking at something something like being like, okay, well, like this is the end of the world. And I find the best way to counteract thoughts of this is the end of the world is laughing about it. It's like, if this feels like the end of my world right now, I'm going to laugh. I'm like, well, maybe it's the end of the world as I know it. Like maybe by the time I get through this, I'm not going to be the same person. Like it's the end of who I am as I know myself to be in this point in time. And I think that that is something that I can be very lighthearted about. And I think that when you are always pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, if you're in situations that take you far out of your comfort zone, if you can find some of the humor in the situation, even if it's dark humor, and some humor is a little too dark even for my taste, but I understand the power of it, right? Like you can be in a dark space or dealing with a very dire situation and you can find something about that you can laugh at, even if it's like the personalities. It's like, these people are hardcore, like my goodness, they didn't get enough hugs growing up. I'm not gonna say that. I actually might put that in there. I might cut that, I might put that in the let's see. But no matter what I'm facing, I'm going to have a sense of humor about it. I've made a commitment to myself even before any situation that I face, just because like I'm very focused on growth. I love accomplishing goals, and part of that is a lot of pain. There's a lot of pain involved with accomplishing goals, especially stretch goals, and you recognize that part of the process is like this painful transformative process, and you get to know like who you become during different phases of transformation. And there's always a part where you're kind of a blubbering mess and you're a bit of a crybaby, or at least I am a blubbering mess and a bit of a crybaby, and I need to laugh at myself in that moment. Like even if I'm laughing afterwards, like I know like if I'm having a moment where like I'm really like in the throes of self-pity, I'm going to laugh at myself afterwards. And it's just part of the process that I've created because it gives me perspective and it helps me to kind of make a memory tag of those moments where I really felt like I didn't have the skills to kind of push through something, and remember and remind myself, not only did I have the skills or did I develop the skills, but I laughed at myself in that moment. So like whatever this moment is, I'm going to laugh about it later on. And I mentioned in a video that one of my core fundamental sayings is live to learn, then learn to laugh about it. And you have no idea like how true to form that is in my day-to-day life and how often that translates in the challenges that I have to take on in life and just the way that I approach things. That's my second point of view, is that laughter, like when you can look at it and find something, even if it's yourself, that you can laugh at, like crack a smile about, chuckle at, even if it's to yourself and not with others, do it. It will put you in a better headspace, a better frame of mind as you kind of push forward and deal with that situation. As you think about the ways that you're going to change, that you're going to shift, that you're going to transform by the time you're at the other side of that situation. As you think about the way that you're going to take a beat down by life, and like life has beaten me up enough that like I know that I'm like, oh, like when you see something coming on, you're like, okay, like I'm going to get like beaten by this situation. Like the situation is going to beat me up quite a bit. Like I'm going to laugh about it because I know that I'll be okay afterwards. But like I can prep myself for the pain that I'm going to experience. And I think that laughing about it, giving myself that perspective ahead of time, it means that I'm not going to catastrophize the pain or be hyperbolic about the way that like the painful moments in life are going to kind of impact and shift my way of thinking in a way of how I'm going to push through that situation. Because I do believe that this too shall pass is like a huge saying of mine as well. Like anything that we go through is temporary, right? And I think that we're okay, or we're not necessarily okay, but we don't necessarily think too deeply about how temporary life can be when it's like the good times. We kind of take them for what they're worth and we appreciate them in that time spent, and then we kind of have periods of loss when those good times pass. But when you carry that, well, this is temporary through the hard times, that is power. Remembering that it's temporary is going to shift the way that you problem solve around that situation, and you're not going to create a solution that's going to put you in a permanent bad space, right? Because sometimes if we really don't have the right perspective when we're dealing with a really ugly situation, we can make the wrong decisions and we can hurt ourselves on the long term. But retaining the fact that, you know what, everything in life is temporary. The highs are temporary, the lows are temporary, the pain is temporary, the laughter is temporary, but it's a cyclical of both, right? I'm never going to get only one and not the other. Like I need to be receptive to both. So better to just have a frame of reference that's going to help me through it. It's going to keep me connected to myself. It's going to keep my perspective in check. And laughter for me has been one of the most underrated tools that has helped me to accomplish that. And my last point about laughter is that it's the great unifier. There is nothing more wholesome and unifying than the ability to laugh together. laughter. And like for me, it's such a beautiful moment, like when someone gets my sense of humor, or if I get their sense of humor, and we can have periods and moments where we're laughing and we're chuckling, even if it doesn't make sense to anyone else. I think that can be such a unifying experience. And we often talk about in the trenches, like suffering is very unifying, and it is, but I think laughing, like having positive moments together, is equally unifying, though not necessarily what we celebrate. Like we don't necessarily have philosophies around like laughter and laughing together and how unifying that can be. So again, like I am a huge fan of the quiet chuckles and of laughing privately to myself, but I am also a huge fan of like those moments where you're celebrating and you're laughing and you're having those good times and positive vibes with friends and with people that you care about. And I think that we can never underestimate the power of laughter and how unifying it is, and how like if it is the case that we're supporting someone going through a tough time, like finding ways to inject humor, even if it's like inappropriate to some extent, like read the room if it's going to be something that's a little bit inappropriate, like inappropriate in the way that, you know, they can still kind of relate to the joke and kind of chuckle a little bit before you kind of get serious again. But laughter is very, very unifying, and it gives us an opportunity to make memories, to create very beautiful moments. And sometimes it's when we're laughing at something that's really not very funny together, like it's like a really serious or really heart-wrenching situation, and we both kind of like, we're looking at each other, we're kind of laughing like, you know, this is a really serious situation. Like there's something very unifying about that kind of connection, and it's something that's underrated and we don't value it enough. And I beseech you, like I guess this is sort of me looking to you, like if you're going through a rough time, like find something about it that you can laugh at, like find a way to build humor into that situation. Even if it's dark humor, there's something very powerful about taking on humor as part of the perspectives that we use or that we leverage to get through difficult situations, and not allowing ourselves to go more than a day without laughing, without injecting laughter into our lives, without cracking a smile or chuckling, or allowing our spirits to get lifted and kind of feel reconnected with ourselves, because there's no way that you can laugh and not be connected with yourself. Like I've heard sayings of like, you know, I'm laughing but I'm dead inside, and like for me that's a horrifying dichotomy, like duality, to like be laughing and still be dead inside. Like I have never experienced that, and I never want to experience that. But for me, typically if I'm laughing, like I feel alive inside, you know, and I want that for everyone, to like give yourself an opportunity to like reconnect with life, to come back to life through laughter if you're going through a really difficult situation. So that was this video. Again, mental wellness, I want to keep them light, I want to keep them sweet, I want to keep them fun, but I wanted to definitely talk about the power of laughter in my life and how laughter is like the most underrated medicine. Sometimes if you're going through a really difficult period, all you need is someone who has the capacity to make you laugh. And I find like comedians are the most underrated profession, and I wish I could be a comedian, but again, a lot of people don't get my humor. Like people are more apt to laugh at me than with me. Like when I try to be funny, it really doesn't land with everybody. But I love that there are comedians out there. I love that I can like turn on a show or turn something on and watch something that like lifts up my spirits and that makes me feel good. And I seek that out. Like if I'm going through a really tough time, know that I'm seeking out different comedians here or there that can make me laugh and kind of take my mind off of things, give me perspective so I can look at it with a fresh new outlook. So that was a tip that I wanted to give everyone. I wanted to talk a little bit about mental wellness and about how laughter is such a strong, powerful, and forceful contributor to our sense of mental wellness. And it's so important that we incorporate laughter into our lives and that we find room for laughter and we make ourselves laugh. Like, you know, it's great that we can find someone who can make us laugh, but I think sense of humor starts with self. And if you can make yourself laugh, you are halfway there. In any case, that's this video. I hope that you liked it. I hope that you found some tidbits of wisdom in this video. And if you haven't laughed in a little while, I hope that after this video, you find something that makes you laugh today and that helps you kind of build perspective that carries you through whatever it is that you're going through moving forward. And just know, you know, even if you're not the same once you push through that situation, you'll be better for whatever it is that you're facing, highs and lows. And it's important to live to learn, then learn to laugh about it. Thank you again for watching. Definitely engage. Send this video to someone who needs to kind of take life less seriously and needs to recognize that, you know, laughter is important. It's an important part of our arsenal as we kind of approach this thing called life. And I look forward to talking to you soon. So I'll see you later, and I hope that this was helpful.